I'm Paul Valois. I'm an attorney and I practice in Lynchburg, Virginia. I've put together a series of videos providing basic information about criminal investigations and criminal prosecutions. This information isn't legal advice for any particular person or particular case. If you're the subject of a criminal investigation or a criminal prosecution, or if you feel like you could be, you need to consult with an attorney right away to get the advice you need to make the best decision. Tonight what I want to talk about are searches. Searches are important because many, if not most, criminal prosecutions come about as a result of some sort of search. In order for the police officer to conduct the search, one of three things has to apply. One, the police officer can have a search warrant issued by a judge or a magistrate. Two, the police officer can have a really good reason to conduct the search without a search warrant. These reasons are very narrowly defined and they don't apply to the majority of cases. Third, the police officer can simply ask for consent to a search, and if the consent is freely and voluntarily given, the police officer can conduct a search. There is never any good reason to consent to a search. When clients ask me why I say this, I respond with a question of my own. What good thing could possibly ever come from consenting to a search? The best possible outcome is that you waste your time on the side of the road while police officers invade your privacy and paw through your belongings. That's the best outcome. The worst outcome is that you end up charged with a serious crime because the police officer finds some evidence that he thinks is tied to you and also tied to some criminal activity. So, never give consent. So how then do police officers obtain consent in so many cases? Well, the answer is that they really like to obtain consent. It's very important to them. It makes their job a lot easier. They discover a lot more evidence and they initiate a lot more criminal prosecution than they would if they had to obtain a search warrant or if they had to apply one of those narrow legal exceptions to the search warrant requirement. They're specially trained to obtain consent. They know that when you're pulled over, you're under a lot of stress, and they exploit that stress. It's typical for police officers to use threats to obtain consent. They'll threaten to detain you. They'll threaten to hold you and bring in a drug dog. They'll threaten to go get a search warrant. They'll threaten to make you late for some particular activity that's important to you. They'll good cop, bad cop you. They will appeal to your emotion. They'll pretend like they don't suspect you. But understand this. If a police officer asks for your consent to a search, that police officer is telegraphing two very important unspoken things that you need to understand right away. One, that police officer considers you to be a criminal suspect. You're not the police officer's friend. Police officers don't ask for consent to search their friends' cars. Right? That police officer, by asking for your consent, is putting you squarely on the other side of a very tall fence, and you need to understand your position when you're dealing with it. The second important truth that police officer is telegraphing to you by asking for your consent is that he or she doesn't have a legally valid reason to search your vehicle. If that police officer had a good reason to search your vehicle without a search warrant, he or she wouldn't be asking for your consent. You would be on the side of the road in handcuffs while the police went through your car with a fine-tooth comb. So, how do you deal with coercive tactics when you're confronted with it? I advise my clients to respond and take charge of the situation with one simple question. And that question is this: Officer, am I free to leave? If the officer responds affirmatively, if the officer says, yeah, you're free to leave, well, yeah, you can go, but why do you want to leave? Why won't you cooperate? Do not get into an argument with the police officer. Do not discuss the matter further. Immediately pack up all of your belongings. Don't leave a single thing there. Get into your car, get on your bicycle, hop on your skateboard, your pogo stick, walk away, do what you have to do to get away from the scene as fast as you can. Right? If instead the officer replies, no, you're not free to leave, nobody's going anywhere, then you're being detained. There are two things you need to do right away. Right? The first thing is you need to tell the police officer, Officer, I do not consent to any searches of anything, period. The second thing you need to tell the police officer is, "Officer, I will not make any statements and I will not answer any questions without an attorney present, period." If more clients were to respond in this way, we'd see a lot fewer criminal prosecutions based upon these consent searches. This is important because your right to privacy is a fundamental constitutional right. It's guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. And exercising it would force the police to do their jobs more thoroughly, and it would keep them from focusing their attention on fishing expeditions and applying it towards facts and circumstances in cases where they have a good reason to conduct valid searches. I hope this information has been valuable. Again, this isn't any legal advice for any particular situation. If you found it informative, please click on one of the other links to the other videos. Also, my wife Margaret is an attorney as well. She practices primarily bankruptcy law, and she's posted several videos under the bankruptcy section in the video submenu. If that's a subject that you need to hear about, please click on one of those videos and get the information you need from there. Thank you.